quick and easy treatment for calves. You're going to need a foam roller or a ball of some sort.
Preferably one that's a little larger, just because when we get down on the ground, you want something that's going to be a little higher up off the ground in order for you to put some pressure down onto, okay? And real quick, before we get started, I just wanted to mention as to why we would be treating your calves. So calves, you're going to mostly be treating for any time that you have any pain back behind your knee, especially when you do this motion, whenever you flex at the knee here. If you're having any pain behind the knee, it's more than likely one of these muscles down here. Also, if you're having any sort of pain like on the bottom of your foot, that's similar to like plantar fasciitis especially, or if you're having pain kind of right at the tip of your heel, right on the bottom down here, that's a lot of the times also because of the calves. If you're having Achilles pain, ankle pain, sometimes if you feel like you have shin splints also, for those of you who are runners and things like that, this can also sometimes take care of that, so.
Yeah, even though you're not working the shins, if you're looking at the body through an antagonist-agonist viewpoint, this can also help with that.
Yep.
So yeah, grab yourself a roller, grab a ball of some sorts, and let's get on the floor. All right, now that you have your roller and you have a nice space on the floor, hopefully where your animals aren't climbing all over you, or if they are, that's okay. Let's go ahead and start treating our left calf. So for those of you with the roller, and maybe even with the ball, we're gonna stack our leg on top of the other leg to give a little bit more pressure. And as long as it doesn't hurt your wrists or your hands, you can even pick your butt up off of the floor a little bit so that you can roll a little deeper. Now we're starting at the bottom portion of the calf, right here close to the ankle. You should feel a trigger point here. For me, this one radiates up into the back of my knee.
This one goes more towards my ankle, Achilles region.
So we're gonna hold that for a little bit. I need a little more pressure, so I'm gonna lean forward. How are you doing?
I'm good. What's nice about this ball is that it's pretty high up off the ground, so all I need is just a little pressure from the other leg.
Mm-hmm. You know, when we're at the gym, I like using a like 6 to 8 pound medicine ball.
Yep.
For my calves. Feels pretty good. Okay, now let's move closer to the center. So let's go right here into the center of the calf. Now you're in that junction between gastroc and soleus right here. And there should be a really good trigger point. For me, this one radiates, kind of everywhere.
Mine kind of just stays right here.
We've been doing a lot of calves lately in the gym, and the weight is getting up there for me, so I've got some good knots in here. Ooh. So if you notice, I'm doing a little bit of a flexion and an extension, and it really opens up that knot that I have.
A little ART action.
Yep, a little bit of ART.
And as you're moving around, because remember, we want to make sure that we're getting to a trigger point that starts here between that 5 to 7 range, and then eventually goes down to, that 4, that 3, 2 feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to move around to a different spot.
And if you're wondering what we're talking about with the 5 to a 7 range in your pain scale, make sure that you check out our first video on how to treat a trigger point, how to find it. It's called Intro to Trigger Point Therapy, just to give you guys a better idea of what you're doing. Ooh, now I'm moving just a little bit. That spot released for me, so I'm scooting up just a tad, and I feel another spot right in here. You also want to make sure that after a spot releases, you move around and find its buddy. There's usually some other trigger points hanging out in the area.
What's also interesting here is you can play around where you move around your gastrocs, or you move around those pretty calf muscles. If you kind of slide some of the major muscles, the major meat from there, and then you kind of then reset back into that calf, you're hitting some deeper compartment muscles now at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes you can get tibialis posterior this way.
Yeah, and you can move that mass of muscle either towards the outside, or you can move that mass of muscle towards the inside, and that's going to be effective for different things.
Now I am rolling on up closer to my knee here. We're getting pretty close to the back of the knee. We're not going to roll the back of the knee, but just under. So I'm about this far from the top of the back of my knee, or about 4 fingers from the center of the back of my knee. And we're just getting that last little top portion of the calves before we move on to the other leg. This is usually an area that causes behind the knee pain. Actually, we see this a lot in powerlifters. They seem to be pretty locked up right in here. Powerlifters and our marathon runners.
Yep.
Yeah. This is an area you guys have to get cleaned out quite a bit. Okay, and remember, you can do some ART flex and extend and flex and extend. These are going up into the back of my knee also.
Just general for myself.
Have you been rolling your calves?
Actually, I've been making sure I stretch them really well, yeah.
I've been neglecting mine a little bit. Ooh. Okay, let's go ahead and switch to the other one. So now I'm doing my right leg, and so is Bree. And remember, we're starting at this bottom third near the ankle. And I'm gonna stack my other leg on top for more pressure. And just like Bree was saying while we were treating the other calf, you can feel free to roll around. It's a big muscle. It's a big couple of muscles. When we're at the bottom of the muscle, we're mostly in soleus. As you get towards the center, you get up into your gastroc. I'm gonna pick my butt off the ground and add just a little more pressure. This is actually really good for people who have restless leg syndrome too. A lot of times that issue can be treated with trigger point therapy.
Absolutely, feeling like you have flutters or you have like pins and needles or spasmings and things like that in the back of your legs.
Charlie horses.
Yeah. Take care of your calves. And the more and more you work back here, the easier it will be to sink down to those deeper muscles that we were talking about, past the gastrocs, past the soleus.
Okay, I'm moving up into the center of my calves, finding some good stuff there. Let's flex and extend.
And we'll cover this in a different video, but if anybody's having pain in their toes, or they are someone who happens to grip the floor with their toes a lot, you want to make sure you're definitely paying attention to the back of your leg here. It's going to take a little while because more than likely the fascia from your calf muscles are going to be very tight, but you need to eventually get down to a muscle that's called the flexor digitorum. And that muscle literally just helps you grip the toes. And a lot of the times that tendon is just too tight at the toe, and that's why you're having the pain in your toe. So if you go ahead and release the muscle belly, that go ahead and take care of that also. But like I said, that's a little bit more advanced. You're definitely going to have to be diligent and a little bit obsessive with this specific treatment to make sure you get down to that deeper compartment.
Yeah, so if you're having any of those major issues, make sure you do this video a few times a week until it gets better.
Yep.
Now I'm moving up just a little farther, getting into that top third of this calf. Woo, that burns.
My inside part is always more sensitive.
Could be the way you walk. Yeah, because especially with that leg, you've been correcting that leg for a little while. And we'll share some of those postural correction stories with you guys in later videos.
Yeah.
Ooh, don't forget you can flex and extend here. This right calf is not happy with me. I might have to do this video a few times this week. All right, if you're on a trigger point, go ahead and finish that up. I actually have one that's radiating into my hamstrings. So sometimes when we're working on, especially runners, if they're having hamstring pain and they're having pain in the calves, both areas have to be treated. So feel free to jump over to the hamstring video too.
Yeah.
All right. That's pretty
bad
good.
boys.
Now, so now we're going to stretch out our calves. So for time purposes, because you can stretch each calf a different way, you're going to stretch gastroc with a straight leg, and you're going to stretch soleus with a bent knee. So there's so many different calf stretches that you could do. We could pick from a plethora, but we're going to stretch soleus by kneeling down like this and pushing the knee over the big toe. And you should feel that right back here in the Achilles area. Do you feel that, Bree?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and now let's do the other one.
Make sure that heel is still touching the ground.
I like to push mine just to where the heel wants to lift up. So I'm pushing that knee over the big toe just until my heel wants to lift up off the ground just a little bit, and I start to really feel it in the back of my Achilles. This is a great stretch if you're having that plantar fasciitis pain in the back of the heel, because this is where Achilles inserts. All right. Now let's do the other one more time. Pushing the knee over that big toe until you feel a stretch right here in the back of the Achilles. Okay, and let's do the other one more time. Pushing that knee over that big toe. All right, and if you're familiar with mountain climbers, let's go ahead and stretch your legs back. Almost like a down dog position, this, but you're really focusing on that back leg stretching, that back calf. And the other one. And switch again. Make sure that back heel is planted and that knee is straight. And switch again. All right. Calves feel better?
Yeah.
I do. So, next video is for plantar, for the bottom of the foot. So, if you're having any of those plantar fasciitis symptoms that we were talking about in this video, feel free to follow up with the next one we'll be posting soon.
And remember, if you guys haven't already, turn on your notifications. That way you guys can get all of our other videos that we're gonna be posting thereafter, after this one. And don't forget, if you have anybody who's struggling with any like feet or any calf pain, make sure you send them over this video. All right, bye guys.
Have a good day.